this morning I'm actually joined with our panelists here, distinguished speakers here. They have tremendous insights on the space. Annette Prieto from the Center for Hispanic Leadership. I'm also joined with Daryl Sawyer from Pratt & Whitney, and also Andrea White, thank you, I have her here, from Toyota. And I'm going to give them a few minutes to cover about their background. I just want to say a few words about myself. I'm a marketing executive at IBM, and I'm actually part of the multicultural team. And for the last 6 years, I've had an opportunity to understand about the space, not from a diversity, now we're saying, how many black employees do we have, how many Hispanics, but really understand how does this marketplace interact with IBM. And I look at it from a 360-degree view. One of them being internally, how do we mentor and grow our own personnel? Number two is how do we interact with the marketplace, meaning customers, channel, and other entities in the marketplace that influence how we do business with them. And then lastly, suppliers. So when I look at it from a 360-degree view, my job at IBM is to continue to lift a word of awareness about diversity, pass on what I preach, and also make sure that those organizations that I work with are also practicing what we do at IBM. One of the things that I have learned in the last 6 years is that diversity is no longer limited to gender and race. Now we talk about the mature audience. We talk about people with disability. So again, the word diversity is changing. And one of the things I'd like to share with you is IBM's culture. When I joined the company 13 years ago, about 2% of our employees were based out of India, which amount about 6,000 employees. Today it's 70,000 employees and growing. It is the fastest growing country. When I look at Europe and the United States, our employment hire is actually quite flat. So again, these are the dynamics that I have to be aware of, because when I pick up customer service, they're in India. So they're no longer in the US, and that's how it's changing. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to our panelists, and I'd like them to take a few minutes to tell us about themselves, and again, just a little bit about diversity, and then we'll get started. Annette?
Thank you, Louis. Thank you so much. Most of you know me as Mrs. Yopis. So I'm wearing 2 hats today, but I am also the Executive Director at the Center for Hispanic Leadership. And that's an institute for talent development. And what we do is we come up with culturally tailored curriculum. We help large corporations, and we do a lot of training where they're Hispanic managers, Hispanic executives, with the goal being to propel Hispanic professionals in their career. Before that, I've been in sales and training for longer than I like to mention, and my first career was actually as a high school teacher. So that's basically what we do now. We are based out of here. The center is based out of Irvine, California, and we travel a lot working with large corporations and small. We do a lot of consulting as well, keynote speaking. Glenn does a lot of the keynote speaking. I do more of the training, and we do coaching as well. So any questions you have for me, I'll be around all day and happy to speak with you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Daryl.
Good morning. My name is Daryl Sawyer, and I'm Manager of Diversity and EEO and Affirmative Action Programs for Pratt & Whitney Rocketdyne. Pratt & Whitney is a United Technologies company, and the Rocketdyne unit is it is literally a rocket factory. We manufacture rocket engines, and our chief product are the main engines for the space shuttle. My responsibility in my current role is to develop, implement, and manage our company's overall diversity strategy on the one hand, while on the other hand ensuring that we continue to maintain as a federal government contractor, maintain a position of compliance with applicable government regulations as they relate to human resources and talent management. Previous to that, many roles. Previous to that, I was the West Coast Divisional Manager of Government Compliance for the Home Depot. I spent a couple of years at Lockheed Martin in suburban Atlanta in an HR capacity, and previous to that, and that's where Louis and I kind of link up together because I spent a tad over 32 years with IBM. And when Louis and I met over the phone a few weeks ago, I mentioned to him that with respect to the work that he does, I still have an original copy of the strategy that resulted in the creation of IBM's constituency marketing program. we have a kinship in that regard.
Super, thank you. Andrea?
Good morning, my name is Andrea White. Thank you so much for having me on the panel. I am the Chief Privacy Officer of Toyota Motor Sales in the United States. That position, I always get a very funny look on people's, their reaction is very funny because people never know what that is. And so don't feel bad that you don't know. It is actually a relatively new type of position. You find a lot of chief privacy officers in the finance area, banks, credit card companies, the agencies, the credit agencies, and you also find CPOs in health organizations, because those are the two big areas that are currently regulated fairly significantly. Now, I'm in a sales organization, so it's a little bit, should be telling about the development of privacy in the United States. And what is happening is that more and more states are starting to come up with laws that protect people's information that go beyond financial and health. So it is my responsibility for Toyota Motor Sales to make sure that the company is properly collecting, storing, using, sharing, and protecting our customers' information as well as our associates' information. So that's what I do. Before that, I was in the IS organization for a few years in the area of security. Before that, I was in our e-business organization. Before that, I was an attorney. I'm a recovering attorney.
Wow, okay, outstanding. All right, well, let's get started. Here's a food for thought. This morning we talk about diversity. I don't want to just limit this to corporate America, because really, some of the changes you've seen over the last 20 years, actually going back to 1960, has been sports like NFL. You think about the NFL back in the 50s, the majority of the players were white. Today, it's a very different model. The NBA has actually the reverse model. They're trying to get more white players to play now because the majority of the teams are black. So again, diversity is not limited to just corporations, it really impacts all businesses and everything. So the first question I'd like to ask the panel now, as it relates to diversity, how is your company using innovation to drive change and foster a stronger community? So Annette, I'm going to have you kick it off.
That's a great question. Center for Hispanic Leadership, we're a service provider essentially. So what we do is we work with large corporations to meet their needs, whatever it may be, whether it be talent management, recruitment, training, per se. So we're very proud to be what we know to be the only company of its kind that's actually helping corporations and their diversity programs train Hispanic employees. That being said, we feel that our model is not just limited for the Hispanic employees, but we focus on 6 core characteristics: Latin passion, many of us could relate